Y'all, when I told Idobao that smaller is better, I didn't expect them to take it this far. I'm Hipyo Tech, and today we're going to be checking out something a little bit different and a little bit smaller. Now I know where your mind might have taken that, you little rascal. Get it out of the gutter, we're going to Keyboard Town. Well hi, welcome to Keyboard Town. This is the Idobao Montex, and it's a 27 key macro pad. So Idobao sent this out to me for free for review, and I think it's got a lot of really interesting features, and we're going to take a look at all of them today, so stick around. So hopefully you're one of the lucky few that's watching this in time for the group buy. It's going to be running from March 1st to March 20th of 2021. If you're somehow one of the lucky few that's watching this in the future, send back some good vibes or something, I don't know. If you do happen to get in on the group buy, it'll cost you $69. Nice. And the expected shipping time is around June 10th. If I had to guess, like all Idobao products, this will be available as an in-stock item for some period after the shipping time, so maybe come back in June if you don't like participating in group buys. So Idobao sent me one of their very first prototypes of this board, so there's definitely a couple issues and some discrepancies with what came in the box and what you might receive. But what you'll definitely receive is this beaut of an aluminum macro pad. This comes in quite a few colors, and I have the polished army green version. Maybe a little bit of a gripe is that they don't have all of the same color options that an ID80 does. For example, if you're a member of the purple ID80 gang, you're kinda screwed, because it doesn't come in purple. Anyways, if you're familiar with the Idobao ID80, this will be really similar to you, but smushed. The board has Kale hot swap sockets with white LEDs and RGB underglow. It's got a really nice polished aluminum exterior, and I reckon it's a little bit shinier than your standard ID80. They sent me an acrylic bottom piece for it. However, I don't see the option for it on the website. This could be changed by the time the video goes live, so take a look at the website for that. Also, as you can see, it's an integrated plate design, so it'll be a little bit stiff. Now, mounting plate style is entirely preference, and with a macro pad, you're not going to be doing a lot of typing on it. However, I do think that Idobao should include some type of foam, as I feel like their integrated plate boards do a ton better with foam. The backplate also has space for rubber feet on the acrylic and the metal version. However, my prototype didn't come with any rubber feet, so I can't really show that to you. But you know what I can show you? Taking the board apart. To take the board apart, you need a hex bit screwdriver of some kind, and I'll be using my trusty wow stick. Wow. Rumor has it makes you say wow every time. Anyways, we just pop these screws out, and we're good to go. The backplate was a little bit hard to remove, so I used a little suction cup. Once we remove this metal backplate, we can see that it follows the same internal style as the ID80 as well, with the same little cutout on the plate. All the dead space not being filled by aluminum in their cases is how they save a little bit of their money. Anyways, let's take a look at this PCB. As you can see, these are Kale hot swap sockets, and I can't really fault their soldering jobs here, as this is an early prototype unit. But we'll be seeing this again soon. Now, my prototype didn't include stabilizers, and I'm not sure if the final board will. But to alleviate this, I stole some stabilizers from my ID80, and I lubed them up very poorly to kind of represent what the experience would be like. Great, right? So to get these bad boys in the board, we gotta unscrew 4 screws, and then we get access to the PCB. This PCB does support screw-in stabs, however, I'm just using PCB clip-in stabs as they were the Idobao way. Now these are just your standard numpad stabilizers like your plus, enter, and 0 key, but you could bind these to whatever, so you could have a little mini spacebar. Cute. Anyways, once we got those bad boys in, we're ready to put the PCB back in the case, and then screw it back in with 4 good old screws. Wow. Now it's time to put on some of the switches. I'll be building her out with some stock Durock pink linears, or Durock L4s if you really want to get specific. These are a really solid linear switch, and they come factory lubed, so you don't really need to lube them, but you probably should. I personally didn't lube them because I wanted to give you more of a stock experience. When putting in these switches, I made sure to put counter pressure on the hot swap sockets, that way I didn't accidentally pop any of them out. Especially with prototypes like this, you ought to be really careful as the soldering might not be perfect. And you know, we wouldn't want to have to break out our soldering iron or anything, that would be just crazy. Oh, what's that, Jim? Yeah, we had to break our soldering iron out. Now I'm not sure if any of you noticed earlier, but if you did, you get brownie points. One of the hot swap sockets came completely uninstalled, so I had to solder one on myself. This isn't a very hard task, and I absolutely suck at soldering, so I think I did pretty good. The board should come with a couple spares, provided you really mess any up. Anyways, we just add a little bit of solder here, a little bit of solder there, ba-boom, ba-boom, and congratulations, we've done it, we're a soldering champion. You know, I'm not gonna lie, I might have done a better job soldering this socket than Idobao did with some of the other ones. So, for that, yay. But the real question here, Did it work on the first try?
First try! First try poggers!
Well, alrighty then. Now that that's squared away, we're gonna be putting some foam in there. And by foam, I mean the bubble wrap that came with the board. Usually you could use some sorbethane or something, but I wanted to, recycle or something. Without some type of material to fill up the back, you're gonna have a lot of pinging with this board because of the integrated plate and a lot of dead space. Filling this up definitely helps alleviate it, and putting the acrylic bottom plate helps alleviate it even more. The acrylic bottom plate is also how you get to see all the RGB, which if you're a pro gamer, pretty dope. Now that we've got it all put together, it's time for the keycaps. And the keycaps we chose for this build are a little bit unorthodox, and you guys might think it's a bit weird. I decided to go with the Kinetic Labs X Polycaps 9009 blanks. Now, a number pad, pretty easy to fill out, right? But all of those other keys, a little bit harder to fill out, especially if you want them to say whatever you bind them to. That's why I decided to go with blanks instead. With blanks, we don't really have to worry about what key is what, it's just whatever profile fits whatever profile row. This will also make it look super stealthy, and allow me to bind whatever keys I want to at any point in time without having to worry about, oh no, that key says this and it's actually this, that type of thing. These were sent to me for free from Kinetic Labs, but it's only $45 for the base kit, so I'd say they're pretty worth it. Also, I built this on stream, and we played around with the colors a little bit, but we didn't really like anything other than just a simple green. If you wanted the most versatile version of this board, definitely go with the whiter black version. Anyways, let's take a look at that RGB underglow. Oh, wait, it's only red? Why is that? Well, this board has full QMK and VIA support, meaning that you can fully program every key and customize macros and lighting, etc. It's pretty awesome, right? However, I'm afraid I can't show any of that to you as the final software wasn't ready for this review. Idobao hasn't had any issues releasing VIA for their other boards, so I'm pretty confident that they'll have it ready for the final release. However, one of the biggest selling points of this is that it's a macro board, and I can't really show you the macro board capabilities, so you'll just have to take my word for it that you will be able to customize every key, and that's a pretty dope feature. Just imagine some cool edit here of me trying out, ooh, look, nice macros, yeah. Also, here it is next to the ID80 crystal. The crystal's a little bit taller than a normal ID80, but I set this next to my ID80 as well, and it's exactly the same profile. I feel like for $69, it's a pretty good prospect, as it allows you to just set it next to your board whenever you need it, and then put it to the side when you need some gamer space or something. Once they get that software finally ready, I'll be using it as a stream deck, which will be really fun. So I guess final thoughts would be, if you're looking for a macro board, you got a budget of $69, nice, and you want something that's aluminum and relatively good, I feel like this would be a pretty safe buy. I think the added keys over a normal number pad could be pretty useful, especially if you're doing some high productivity stuff. Now, even though everything's really subjective based on how you build it, I think it sounds pretty freaking good too, and I'm overall pretty happy with it. Once the software is fully working as well, I'll make a guide on how to flash it with VIA, so stay tuned for that and make sure you're subscribed. Anyways, I'll be leaving y'all with the sound test. Make sure you do a sound test of your own in the comments to let me know what you think of this board. Also, leave it a like and join my Discord. Also, if you really like this video, hit that join button down below to join the Watering Hole gang. A special thanks to Aquarius, Cody J, and Not Sus for being members of the Hipyo's Chosen tier. If you want to join them and have your name said out loud, make sure you hit that join button down below.